Hello, friends. Week one is here, but we still got a couple more days here at Spike Week to draft some best ball teams. So we're going to hang out. We're going to rip some drafts, pile into this massive overlay coming in the drafters main event, and get ourselves all set for week one kickoff tomorrow night. Let's do it. Good morning. Hello. Final draft stream of the 2025 best ball season. We're not introing. We're not doing anything crazy today. We're just drafting. I have just popped into the drafters main event over here. It needs 4, and we're just going to hang out, talk some week one, talk some final drafts, talk some whatever. Everything that has played out over the course of the summer heading into the best ball season. Last night, myself and Rob Coakley did a final takes show in the best ball basement. That's not the right. In the best ball basement, where we ripped a lot of our, what we learned over the summer, our biggest regrets, our hottest takes, our biggest stands, our biggest fades, and all that. You can check that out. It's on the audio podcast feed as well as the YouTube page, of course. As we wait for this to fill, some super quick housekeeping. This draft only needs 2, by the way. The drafters main event here, as you see. So we are, less than 36 hours away from kickoff, and you have to finish your drafts by, I believe it's 7:45 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. See the cutoff time. That is when you cannot enter any more drafts any longer. And as of this morning, don't even say I'm going to start saying 37 hours just to one up Rob for his 36-hour draft marathon. But with 30, it isn't 36 hours, so I can't say technically 36 hours. With 30, let's call it 34 hours left to go, we are sitting at 108,000 out of 140,000 entries. So we're looking pretty good for some pretty significant overlay. If you stream for 36 hours, the season will be here. That is true. I cannot argue with that. It is technically a fact. It is also a fact that will not happen, nor will it ever happen. Rob is the only psychopath doing that kind of insanity around these parts. I couldn't physically do it. I don't know how he did do it. It would be truly a death sentence for me. I like my sleep too much. I definitely get too sleepy. What I don't understand about what Rob did was for me, it's the eating. It's after eating. I can power through with caffeine and all that kind of stuff the rest of the day and be delirious and all that kind of stuff and last in a marathon stream for quite a while. But once the old tummy gets full, once you get a belly full of, and he's eating carbs and stuff, but I get a belly full of pasta in me, it is TKO season. There's absolutely no chance. Good morning to Chris, Marie, Versaire, everyone. I was talking before I, of course, got distracted as per usual, that we got a lot of our week one content coming out today. So if you did not see it, if you are not subscribed, click that subscribe button, because in season is going to be a ton of fun, I think. Then we put out our first Survivor strategy video. So if you're playing in your Survivor pools, Rob has been crushing Survivor pools for multiple years now, and we're gonna just do a quick conversation every week here on the channel to discuss Survivor pools and who to pick, how we're doing in our Survivor pools, what the chalk is, how some of these major tournaments, there are, of course, major tournaments in the Survivor streets, particularly over at a site called Splash sports. And if you are interested in this a drafters overlay, and I get nothing from Splash. We don't have a business relationship, maybe one day, but they let's see how full that sucker is. It is not gonna fill even remotely close to, like, if you think this drafters thing is overlay, my God, wait till you see. They are currently 18,519 total entries in the contest is what it would take to fill, and they are at 5,917. Now, the deadline is Monday for the Splash tournament because you can enter all the way up until Monday Night Football, but the overwhelming majority of teams, right, are going to be entered by tomorrow, just because that's how people's brain works heading into week one. So that is $1 million to first place over there. Let's see here. I'm going to do Puka again. And let's see what bases we can cover with our Puka. I just want to do the boring Drake London thing again because 12% Drake London doesn't feel. But let's do AJ Brown actually. Let's do AJ Brown. Perfect. Good morning, TJ. Good morning. Good morning. But yeah, I started working on, so we got that Survivor up. We are, this is technically possible. I do like I don't know. Depends on I guess your classification for a mega stack, T-Mac plus. So my problem with the Panthers thing heading into week one, I think I'm going to bet the Jaguars in week one. I don't want to give away the full Survivor stuff, but Rob and I both like the Jaguars in week one. And I have not bet the Jags yet, but I think I'm going to now. Is these losses are great for us from this is where it can be difficult to like differentiate a little bit between us wanting, like, I am more interested in targeting the Panthers now, specifically like Xavier Legette and Jatavian Sanders, and I've been taking them a lot. The problem is they don't, like, the offense doesn't benefit from all of these injuries. The offense is going to be worse. It's just those guys are going to be better for fantasy because they should theoretically soak up more volume. Adam Thielen and Jalen Coker is like, seems like should be nothing because they were like late round picks, but for this offense, it's very meaningful. You remove it. They talked about how Hunter Renfrow is not very good. That's why they cut him. And now he's going to be the starting slot receiver because they kind of don't have another slot receiver. I think the combination of Thielen Coker was actually pretty important for this offense. And I'm bullish on the Jaguars, specifically the offense, really. Travis Hunter listed as a starting wide receiver and a backup corner. So probably good for scoring purposes, that is the setup. But I kind of don't really want, if I don't have Thielen and I don't have Coker for 4 to 6 plus weeks, I kind of don't really love Bryce in that regard. I kind of would just like the pieces around it. We are doing wonderful. We've been up. We're getting the week one content ready. I'm starting what this year in season, what I am calling the blueprint. So that's going to be sort of the formatting in season and hopefully moving into the off season as well next year, where it will just kind of encapsulates everything. Like, this is your plan for the whole week, and it's going to have DFS stuff in there, right? So we're going to have, I'm probably going to separate it out, like week one blueprint DFS, week one blueprint, like betting props and pick 'em, week one blueprint. I'm putting out a futures. Here's all the futures bets that I think are strong bets this afternoon, and of course the week to in season drafts as well. Battle Royale Drafters has awesome tournaments, and so putting in kind of some core plays and strategies that I'm employing, things we need to think about, right? The blueprint to that individual week slate, all that stuff is coming out this afternoon, and it's getting me all jacked up. I'm very excited. Been up working on that, and took the dogs for a nice little walk this morning already. Got to incentivize him somehow. Trade proposition 36-hour live stream for 4 likes and 1 subscribe. That's tempting. That's tempting. It is very difficult to get likes and subscribes on YouTube. Trust me, as someone who does this and you have to ask for it all the time, it's just the worst. I'm going to. Where's Hurts? Yeah, I just want to make sure I lock down Jalen. The reason why I pulled up AJ Brown was to make another little AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts stack. See, the problem is I'm like kind of at where I want to be with T-Mac, but I have them with the Puka and AJB teams quite a bit. Let's do a worthy team. How about that? Can build some Chiefs stuff. So that's the interesting thing about the Panthers is like the Chiefs are kind of in this position now. Now there's more bodies and the Chiefs are going to play more guys in the passing game, et cetera, et cetera. But we just found out that Jalen Royals is not going to play week 1, which was the expectation. If you hung out yesterday, that was the expectation during the kind of news recap. Is unfortunately, it doesn't look like Jalen Royals is going to play week 1. Rashee Rice obviously out for the first 6 weeks from a suspension, and so is this the best time to have Travis Kelce in your lineup? Probably. But also, is this good for Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton? And I'm not going to draft, nor am I interested in like Juju Smith-Schuster. But if Juju Smith-Schuster goes over some props, would I be surprised? No, not necessarily. So for the first few weeks minimum, certainly up through the 6 weeks of the Rashee Rice suspension, is pretty bullish for the Kansas City Chiefs. And yet I'm not as concerned about their offense like I would be and am, and not would be, like I am with the Carolina Panthers, where if we remove some decent weapons from Bryce Young, that's a little bit scary. If we remove some decent weapons from Patrick Mahomes, I think Patrick Mahomes will probably be Patrick Mahomes. And I think there's still some appealing, right? We still have Xavier Worthy, we still have Travis Kelce, and we have some other interesting, I don't know what the right word I would use, interesting guys surrounding that. Yeah, this is I very much think it's possible that Brashard Smith gets in right with 2 of their best playmaking wide receivers. It's not that they kept 8 wide receivers, so it's not that they don't have wide receiver bodies. I think they saw this coming. They certainly saw the Rashee Rice suspension coming at touchdown day because they knew it. But Jason Brownlee, Nico Remigio playing or making the team more as special teams. Brownlee could play, I think. But I think they like Brashard Smith in the passing game as mainly a receiver. And so I definitely think Brashard Smith is in play for an early season role as kind of, they used him on the opening drive of their preseason game with the ones and just manufacturing him some touches or some looks at least. He had a big drop in that preseason game, but he had a 20+ yard target downfield. I think he's a really intriguing piece. I've been including him on if I do something like this, I've been including Brashard Smith a little more on drafters, but we talked a lot about yesterday with Rob. The late rounds are just, so bad right now. It's all dried up. All the guys that we liked in the 18th, 19th, 20th have moved up multiple rounds. And so you got to backfill him with somebody. And I think Brashard is a guy who was probably always appealing, though I'm just a slightly less excited about his overall fantasy ceiling. But I think the run out for the first month or something like that of the season, month plus 4 to 6 weeks, is pretty has turned up aces for Brashard Smith. So we'll see if he can play. Phrasing, but yes, the only guy who isn't Kayshon Boutte, it's still available in the last round, is he's not. This is where it's always difficult in like the best ball streets versus like traditional season long content and stuff, because we have to get into the Kayshon Boutte versus Tyquan Thornton versus Jordan Whittington versus Brashard Smith versus whoever. We have to get into those conversations because at this point in the summer, that's the only options we have at the ends of drafts. Whereas, in your home league, like, you don't worry about those guys. but I'm going to have a bunch of real American dollars invested into Kayshon Boutte, and that was not the plan in May, but it is what it is. I think he should have probably moved up a little bit. Not saying he should be. I don't think he's nowhere near the priority of the Legettes and Troy Franklins and Pat Bryant's and Alec Iomanners and on down the list. But I think he's a pretty darn good pick now. And see, this is just gross. Just absolutely gross. But I am going to do Pollard Harvey here. Combine kind of the Tony Pollard early season workhorse with the RJ Harvey upside swing. But I'm exceptionally excited for week one. So excited that Rob told me I had to, when I created the StreamYard, I had a bunch of misspellings in the title. That's how excited I am for week one. Can't type. I guess I do still have 18 more of these to go, which sounds like to a normal human being. Like, how can you be moved on to week one? You still got to do 18 freaking drafts. That's like a lot, but I'll rip a few here this morning and then sit for a couple hours in multi-table and knock that all out and be ready to rock and roll heading into tomorrow. And the schedule is going to change a little bit in season. It's not really going to change from like the daytime. I like this. I don't know how good it is from an engagement perspective, but it works well for me. So tough shit. 10 a.m. Eastern is quite good for me. And so we're going to keep that general schedule. We're going to keep Best Ball Basement on Monday nights with Rob and I, and do some live streams during the morning all week, but it'll be changed a little bit. Obviously, yesterday and today we did kind of a lot of still draft related, best ball related stuff. And like, we're still going to continue to do the best ball related stuff. I want to do like recaps and like look at our teams and think about the news from a best ball perspective. We're absolutely going to keep rocking and rolling with that. I don't imagine it'll be long before we already start to get the in-season best ball stuff. I don't know if DraftKings is going to do, what DraftKings has done historically, though they pivoted a little bit, it seemed, this year by not doing the weeks 1 to 4 contest. That's why Rob badgered Underdog until they gave in and did the first quarter contests. What DraftKings would do historically is like every week open a new best ball tournament. It gets smaller and it's not particularly big, but like something like a new $10 would open on DraftKings every Sunday or Monday. And you could come in and now you could draft teams with the new information that you have. And it was actually a ton of fun, a little bit of burnout issues for me, but it was actually a ton of fun. I would be surprised if they do that though this year, but we'll see. I do suspect that Underdog, with the popularity of the first quarter drafts that they put out there, I would suspect we should see second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and then just a few weeks in, we'll be having playoff best ball out there on like all these sites. So no promo code for Splash Play. I'm sure somebody out there does, but I do not have one. I appreciate you asking, but no promo code for me for Splash. Like I said, I'm sure there's somebody out there that does. I don't know about any, creators from within our little bubble. Damn, Mahomes goes right there. I'm still gonna take Kelsey without Mahomes. I think that's fine. Let's do Let's do a Hurts Knicks team. How about that? I don't think I have one of those. Only took me 132 tries plus a bunch in the $2 and the $3. Just only 500 teams or something like that. And this is the first Hurts Knicks team. No big deal. Always, man. Puka AJ Brown is just. It's kind of crazy when you think back. I know that this is such flawed logic, but it's still fun to think about it this way. Like, not everything has to be like super serious, right? It can be a absolutely flawed logic, and we can enjoy thinking about it in this regard. Last year, both Puka and AJ Brown, it was not achievable to have them both on the same team, and they were both awesome. It's such a rare thing that like Puka was essentially the best wide receiver in the NFL last year. I understand Jamar Chase, Jefferson, CD. I get all that, but from like when he was on the field, from an effectiveness and efficiency, a target earning, volume, absolutely everything, right? Cooper Kupp really trailed off, and the Rams had to build the whole plane out of Puka Nacua, and he yet was still able to be insane. Led the entire NFL in yards per route run. That's nuts to do something like that. AJ Brown was not the best wide receiver in the NFL, but pretty close. He's somewhere, around or in the top 5 of real life NFL wide receivers. And all he did was continue to live up to that billing last year. Now, obviously, the reasons why we can get them together are understandable. The Eagles' passing volume, both Puka and AJ Brown's own injury concerns, and then Matthew Stafford's injury concerns. So I get it. And the addition of Devontae Adams. But it is kind of a rarity in modern best ball, right? In fantasy football today, to be able to get those kind of talents together onto the same team. Like, we just price up talent like crazy. Like, look at, these are rookies, so it's a little bit different, but like, look at Travion Henderson. Look at some of these guys that just shoot through the moon, because once we're convinced that you're awesome at football, like a star level talent, we kind of don't care about the situation that much. Like, Malik Neighbors is a first-round pick. Everyone thinks the Giants are going to be horrendous, but we don't care because Malik Neighbors is that good. So to be able to get AJ Brown and Puka on the same team is honestly insane. I love it. Also doesn't hurt that AJ Brown correlates positively with Shipley. I love that. That's one of my favorite pairings. It might be one of my highest owned pairings is Will Shipley with I would bet I have more Will Shipley with Devontae Smith, just because Devontae's a little cheaper and I have a little bit more. But the same thought process is I'm completely on board with you. I found this last month's worth of teams I've drafted have all the same core of 4 to 6 guys. Not bad process. Depends on your personal risk appetite. I don't think it's bad process. I think if that's something that you're comfortable in, if you believe in that core that strongly, and that's how you want to build your teams and then diversify around those guys, by all means, yeah. I don't see what's wrong with that. But, some people would tell you need to diversify more. I think that's up to each person. I can't believe this is going to be epic, because I have to pull up to get my guy. The guy who I'm doing that with currently is Dylan Sampson. So I'm right there with you. Mims did officially return to practice, by the way. Marvin Mims. Get your guy season. Amen to that. That I agree with. Donnie asks, Eric, what's the best advice you can give to transition from best ball brain to a DFS mindset? So I love this question. Like I said, I was about to answer this question, but I got distracted by Will Shipley. If out of my peripheral, if I see Shipley or something that even looks like Shipley, become a big nautical fan, because I see anything that looks like Shipley and my eyes divert there. But I love this question, because I actually think now I believe this didn't go so well for me last year, but the last, since I've started doing Spike Week stuff, I've actually felt we'll get to it later in the season when sometimes I will struggle a little bit because maybe some of my priors have been debunked. Let's just say I come in and I think that Travion Henderson is amazing. And over the course of the first 6, 7, 8 weeks, that kind of gets disproven. He's kind of like useless or whatever. I can at times struggle late in the season with not adapting to like that reality. I understand and I can see projections and all that kind of stuff too. But just like you still have that ingrained in you a little bit and pivoting once we get, because it's not just like new information about depth charts and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, so not only does that mean obviously we're not like playing Travion Henderson, but what is that? Now you have to adjust your Patriots, maybe your Drake May, your Ramondre, your whatever. Like there's a lot of different things that have to adjust. And of course that there's projections, but what I find from a DFS perspective to be the one thing that's still successful for me as the field has gotten so sharp with all the projections and the sims and all that different stuff is spending the time to figure out where I think, like I can look at the same data that they're looking at, projections, sims, whatever, and seeing where I think that the industry, the market is wrong. Like where could they be? Not where are they necessarily the most wrong, but where could they be the most incorrect? And where's the most, right? How much can I win on if they're wrong about this thing, whether by fading something or by attacking something? And I think the best time, but the best time for that is at the beginning of the season. Leone just had a great thread, I think, on Twitter the other day about this kind of general concept is that like the best time to come in and like I know better, or I believe in this thing, or or I don't believe in this thing is the start of the season. And no one is more locked into that than best ball players. We've been following the news for months. We know the depth chart. We know guys who got cut. We know so much about all of these teams that we can use that to our advantage. Now, we're definitely not going to be right about everything, right? We're not going to be right about all of those things. But there's certainly advantageous angles to take that I really, really think are powerful in week one, even the first few weeks, because what will happen is week one, we can come in and say, right, I know better. Jameson Williams is going to break it. I like Jameson Williams in week one as an example. In all formats, DFS, underdog drafts, I see the comments. I'll touch on in a second, I promise. Right? Like the prop market, I think, is probably wrong about him. I don't love the spot so much, but I'm a believer in Jameson Williams. I'm a believer in, Mary Kay Cabot came out yesterday with the Browns and called Jerome Ford the starter and Dylan Sampson the change of pace back and all that. I think she's full of shit. Right. My take, based on not some beat reporter who's been wrong endlessly about the Browns, my take based on what they did when they played starters in the preseason and what they have done in practice and in training camp all summer is that Dylan Sampson, it's going to be a committee. It's a 2-man committee between Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson, but I think Dylan Sampson is the more valuable one in that backfield. Could that be wrong? Of course. Of course, could that be wrong? But they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing in Coors Field of fantasy football. The worst defense in the league with shout out to the Cowboys, one of the worst defenses in the league with one of the best offenses in the league. That is an insane environment to be playing in. And Dylan Sampson will catch some passes. I think he gets goal line work. And I think you want to be playing anybody in that kind of situation as a running back against the Bengals. But our opponents, right, the projections and all this kind of stuff are not even going to consider Dylan Sampson this week. So I will come in. I'm not saying I'm like going to have Dylan Sampson on every team I play, but Dylan Sampson is one of those that I think we can come from best ball and transition in and say the projections, it's not that they're wrong, that the logic is wrong that they put into them, but the projections can be the most wrong in XYZ ways. And what happens when they're wrong in XYZ ways because of all of this knowledge I've acquired over the summer. So those are the spots I want to attack. So like I love the Jaguars and Panthers game just like everyone else does. but there's probably not that much up in the air. I think the projections are probably going to be pretty accurate about that. Maybe the Jags backfield or something is tricky. Doesn't mean I'm not going to like play it, but it means I don't really consider that like my big edge heading into week one. It's spotting these other situations where I think the market can be the most wrong. All the projections and everything can be the most wrong. That's how I think about the best transition from best ball into DFS. Now, like learning roster construction and all that kind of stuff is going to be up in the air. Though, if you subscribe both to this channel, but also if you subscribe for premium subscriber on spikeweek.com, I mentioned closer to the top, I'm doing what we call the blueprint every single week. So I'm going to like break down the slate and explain it to you in hopefully layman's terms so that it makes sense. Like, here's the things you need to think about on this slate. And then obviously have like some core plays for both DraftKings and FanDuel. Talk about each position a little bit as like what's the kind of texture of slate texture, if you will, and break that all down in the blueprint and talk about like how I think we need to attack each slate. Doesn't mean I have like all the exact right angles myself, but how we want to attack the slate, I think, is really more important even than just individual plays. Though, of course, I'll be talking about plenty of the individual plays. Okay. This is when I'm assuming Franklin didn't go off the board. This is when I'm just going to go pull up and get my Denver double stack here. Let's see. Will Spike Week have underdog best ball rankings? We do have underdog best ball rankings. Yep. They are up on the site right now. If you subscribe, again, if you're a premium subscriber, you get access to everything that we do. So we made a big change this year that I'm very proud of, actually. So for just $39.99 a month or $200 a year, you pick, you get absolutely everything that we do. And we're expanding into this, right? This blueprint for DFS. There's people are constantly looking, right, for like props and pick'em slips and all that kind of stuff. We'll have every single week the blueprint for DFS, props, pick'em, bets, and then we're doing some survivor content. We're doing underdog, as Pac Fan asked about, dog bowl content. The battle royale drafts will be woven in to the weekly streams, and then I do a set. They're already up on the site for subscribers, weekly rankings for like underdog drafts. Daily Drafters has them as well. Fast Draft has them as well. I put up weekly rankings so you can use those in your drafts if you would like, of course. Oh, NBA, yes. I got to get through this. The NBA rankings are coming very soon. I've started on them. I have not finished them because unfortunately NFL is the breadwinner. We have to focus on all of that NFL stuff and this week one stuff first. But NBA rankings are coming very soon, I promise. And again, as a part of the subscription, you get all that. If you want to dabble in NBA, you want to dabble in the dog bowl, you want to play some DFS, you want to play some pick'em slips, you want to bet some props, you want to bet sides or totals. Obviously, in season, when we get the like second quarter contest, we'll have rankings and strategy up for that. You get to join the Discord. We just lumped everything under the one subscription. We wanted to try to make it more accessible for everybody to come get. Like, I've been around in this industry for a long time and I understand why all the different sites do it, but as a little bit smaller site that luckily can it makes fiscal sense for us as opposed to like the big mega sites. We just lumped everything under $140 a month or $200 a year subscription. You get absolutely everything. So all this different stuff we're covering. But yeah, in terms of the dog bowl, I'm not going to have like content specific to the dog bowl, but there'll be content for the drafts every single week, both on Underdog and on Drafters. Drafters is a really cool Superflex format. That's a lot of fun that I like to do. So daily, right? It's just like the battle royales and stuff, except it's Superflex, which is very fun. Let's see here. I mean, It is insane what happens to wide receiver, man. Just like absolutely insane. Because I want Rico Dowdle on this team. I need to probably go get one of these tight ends. I would love to have Rico Dowdle on this team, but this team deserves and needs Harold Fannin. So we got the mega Broncos onslaught, which I'm actually a pretty big fan of. Hurts and AJ Brown, the Fannin Sampson. I wonder if Fannin Sampson's like going to surpass Shipley plus one of these guys in my exposures. It would not be surprising at all. Yeah, and as TJ says, every 11 a.m. Eastern, every Sunday morning, myself and you guys probably know Neil Orfield from the Best Ball Streets, and then Jordan Vanek. We're doing what we call the GPP Final Takes show on Roto-Grinders, and then here on this channel, you'll see. I want to try to get it out on Wednesdays starting next week, but obviously this week's a little funky. Of course, we have the holiday, and then week 1 still drafting and stuff. But tomorrow is going to be like we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk about every game and our DFS plays, the guys that fit in your battle royale drafts, and some different bets, etc. Just kind of like a week 1, each week. Like this is our preview show. Will ownership projections page have the DFS tourneys or daily drafts? Not DFS tournament, at least certainly not yet. We have been working on some different stuff. I can tomorrow show the like DFS. Here's what I would say. We don't have like projected ownership in the sense of like what you're thinking about, like having each player with the projected ownerships. What we did build is a tool called the DFS ownership visualizer, and we probably need a little bit better name for that, but it describes exactly what the hell it does, so maybe it is kind of fitting. But if you have used our Draft IQ, I'll pull it up once we and whatever. You guys have seen me draft these teams like 10 million times. So this obviously does not have the data in here, but what you can do is you can either after a slate and go back and like look at what happened on that slate, or here's this upload lineups. If you like go run some optimals from say Roto-Grinders, right, and grab the CSV, you can see how ownership is breaking out for that slate based on the projections of one of those sites. So it's kind of like, because we don't do the weekly projections, it's kind of using what the industry is saying about the entire field, and then telling you, of course, not just like who's going to be the most owned, which of course it will tell you that, but who is going to be paired together, right? So you see the player combos. Obviously there's nothing in here, but you'll see how often are these different players paired together, and how often are the team structure. So you'll see, are they spending right? Are they spending up at quarterback? How many teams are spending up at quarterback? How many teams are spending up at wide receiver? How many teams are, et cetera, et cetera. So we built something for what you are talking about, but it's not traditional ownership projections in that sense. Like those just exist everywhere. I don't feel the need to recreate that wheel personally, but I think this is taking a little bit of what we do best and bringing it into the DFS space. Like we have ownership projections, but then taking one layer deeper than just raw ownership projections. And that's something everyone can do, on their own. You can do it ad hoc. I agree, Thomas. Olaf, welcome. But no ownership projections for the daily drafts. At least not yet. We're doing some of the content and stuff for the daily drafts. The problem with Battle Royale and the drafts on Drafters is not that they're not cool. It's not that we can't do stuff for them. Unfortunately, this is a business, and there are just not enough people that pay for it to make sense. There is a cost to the building of the tools and maintenance of them from a monthly perspective. And there's just not, we've done it before. When we started building the tools, we also incorporated the Battle Royale stuff alongside the best ball stuff. And it just ended up not making much fiscal sense if there is enough, but that's why I think we can just do some content for it and still hopefully scratch that itch and cover it. I can do rankings, and I try to incorporate into the rankings, and you'll see as a part of the weekly blueprint, there will be players on there, and I have like the kind of top picks, if you will, but as well as like some scroll down options, right? Which are guys that I'm factoring in ownership to. Jesus Christ, running back is so disgusting. Chris Brooks, I guess. I really do need to get a little bit more of is Michael Mayer. This is how bad it is in the final rounds, drafting Chris Brooks and Michael Mayer. But super quickly, Eagles, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown stack with a onslaught of the Denver Broncos, which I quite enjoy. I'm pretty bullish on the Broncos, and the prices on specifically Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant are great. Marvin Mims is nice. RJ Harvey is great. So little Broncos, Eagles action. But Tony Pollard, RJ Harvey, Dylan Sampson, Tank Bigsby, Trey Benson, Kyle Monangai, and Chris Brooks. Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant. The run on Denver wide receivers there: Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Malik Washington, and De'Ami Brown. Still able to get a decent wide receiver room, but maybe not so much. Maybe a little worried about my running backs. Travis Kelce, Harold Fannin, and Michael Mayer at tight end. Let's make a couple slow draft picks before we hop into this other draft, just to make sure we don't miss something. I also have one. I have one straggler on DraftKings. They were all my slows were done by about 8:00 last night or something like that. And I have one straggler, and I'm going to guess that I just autoed. Nope. Okay, we're okay. Oh, it hasn't hit the 10-minute clock yet over there, so that's good. Superflex team: Dak, Penix, Russ. Oh yeah, this is a real Superflex team. Russ. Running back is a bit light. Oh, look at that. There's Brashard. Let's do Brashard. Not Tyler Shuck. Well, we did take Spencer Rattler, baby. Oh, Rattler, Juwan. I knew it. We set this one up. Nothing says I'm going to win the Superflex tournament like Bryce Young, Jatavian Sanders, and Spencer Rattler, Juwan Johnson stacks. But it's kind of a fun team. All right, let's get in this $20 again, though. Tyreek and Tua might be the best puke stack ever. This is one that I'm honestly having a really difficult time with, in not necessarily just Tyreek, but the Dolphins for week 1. I keep going back and forth because on one hand, my general take about the Dolphins has been a lot of avoidance. I think that it's not just it's easy to say we're just buying into what seems like a messy situation. Tyreek is a disaster. Mike McDaniel's giving weird, ominous quotes, and one day closer to death, and Darren Waller signing and all this kind of stuff. But I just think the roster, as we have seen for multiple seasons, is so fragile. And now Tyreek is getting older. Tyreek, hilariously, for the first time with the Dolphins, not named a captain, which is really funny. It doesn't matter, but it's definitely funny. Jalen Waddle was apparently doing well early in camp, and we haven't heard a peep about him. Malik Washington does look good. But I'm out on the Dolphins. If draft one fantasy football team this year, would you take any Dolphins? I would say no. I have some of them in my portfolio, of course, blah, blah, blah. But that's what everyone thinks. And week 1, speaking of our week 1 conversation, there's no better time. They play the Colts in a dome. The Colts secondary is bad. The Colts are probably going to score some points. I quite like Jonathan Taylor. But I think assuming Achane is healthy, like on a DraftKings or something like that, people will play Achane. I don't know his ADP in drafts or whatever, and I don't have the ownership up in front of me for DFS. But no, I don't think the whole world is very bullish on the Miami Dolphins. And so, what if they're fine? What if the Dolphins come out and are pretty good against a pretty bad Colts defense in a dome? I'm not saying it could be Waddle if you prefer. Of course, Achane. Malik Washington, like probably only on a PPR site, but Malik Washington is probably going to catch some balls. And of course, Achane will. Achane only has Ollie Gordon behind him. I don't know. The Dolphins, I keep going back and forth on like, what do I do with the Dolphins? Because I don't want to be invested in there, but nobody does. And week 1 is like just the best time to invest if it's not going to happen. And from a puke stack perspective, like in best ball tournaments as well, we are now getting to a price where you could certainly tell yourself, should we just do some of this Dolphins thing? Like, what if they're fine? Because we're getting a hell of a discount. And I've sort of had Tyreek. I was really in on Tyreek to start, then weaned, then they sort of changed my tune. But I'm back ahead of this ADP in the rankings. It's just that I also have other guys ahead of him, ahead of their ADP. So I'm still not getting much. But like you see here, I have 8% Tyreek Hill, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, big part of what I want to do in season is really just like, of course, we'll have specific, content, themes, and all that kind of stuff. What I enjoy, the reason that I even like care to do the streams and stuff is not to just come on here and, of course, you guys know I rant and ramble. I'm long-winded. When I get into a subject, I start going on about it. But I enjoy like what's interesting to the folks in the chat, right? Like ask questions. What is something that pops out to you? Like, what do you think about this? I'm fine with like start sit stuff, and I'll do Nico. But like, what do you think about this stack? What do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? Are you fading this guy? What do you think about this scroll down option in the battle royale draft? Like, absolutely. And just kind of talking through things with the chat is the more fun part of it for me than just coming on and being like, here's who I like and here's what I'm doing. And, follow me. I'll lead you to the promised land. We'll all get rich. Like it doesn't really work like that. But yeah, as Quentin asked about NBA, I'm also exceptionally excited for the NBA. I think they said we're like a month away from media days or something like that. Schedule is out, and I really got to get those rankings out for sure as well. We also do college football rankings. Admittedly, if the prize pools get too small later in the season, it's probably not going to make a lot of sense to do the college football battle royale rankings later. But how about let's make this the AJ Brown day. AJ Brown day. We'll see how long Underdog sticks with the college football main slate battle royales, but it is. Let's see how big it is this week. So we'll have rankings. We'll have rankings for those. Let me double check. The main slate is 30K. Not that's fine. That works. I think it was 50 in week 1, and it did not fill. And I don't imagine this one's going to fill. The problem with the college stuff is I love it. It's so much fun. College football, best ball is a ton of fun. They did a March Madness tournament last year that was awesome. Like, seriously awesome. Also, really plus EV. But it's not legal in every state. And just fewer people follow it. So it's just not going to be popular enough to have big old huge tournaments. Have you submitted your fantasy best ball lineup yet? No, and I don't intend to do it. Not my thing. I get it. I totally understand. Come from the poker world, I get it. Would you prefer Jarquez Hunter? Ooh, still Jarquez. It's still Jarquez for me. I'm taking a little more Brashard Smith. Yeah, I get it. It's just not for me. I don't know who most of the people are and eat. So yeah, just the best ball world is about as toxic as it gets. The fantasy, I mean, it's just a microcosm of the world, right? Everybody is so negative. It's absolutely insane. Like, shout out to you guys, first of all, like the amount of likes and the percentage of likes and everything on the videos is absolutely incredible. And I could not appreciate you guys more. But no matter what you say, no matter who you are, we're all giving our opinions on all these different things. Like there's always someone. So like this morning, as an example, I'm still doing Evans over Tyreek. This morning, as an example, wake up and you're going through YouTube stuff and you see you get the comments in your YouTube app and everything. And like the people that just come in and like just can't help themselves but to like talk shit to some random stranger on the internet. It's like, I've never in my life like just gone on Twitter, seen somebody I don't know, will never meet, and just like bash them personally in a reply because I disagreed, right? Someone was saying to Michelle's question that they much prefer Brashard Smith, and I prefer Jarquez Hunter. And if I went in there and called him a fucking idiot, used slurs and stuff like that, right? Or like, what if I watched a YouTube video that I didn't like, you know what I would do? Close it and stop watching it and just say, okay, this content isn't for me. It's wild. A wild world out there. And so anyway, the fantasy best ball thing is just a way for I see this only going poorly from a positivity standpoint. That is for sure. But I think so. My take about Brashard is that I think he's a fun, exciting young player, but I don't think there's any real path. Dang, I don't really have Marv with any of these guys, huh? What about Hurts? Shit, I don't really have Hurts. I think I would rather have. Let's do Hurts. I don't think Brashard has a path with the archetype of player that he is to like take over a backfield. To like even I think he's a fun like weapon in an offense. If I'm wrong about that, for sure. But he had never played running back until last year at SMU. He's very small and skinny. So like we've talked about, like people are like, oh, well, he's going to be Jerick McKinnon. I'm like, that's not true. That's my main big take. It's like, if you're thinking that he's Jerick McKinnon, I think you are sadly mistaken about that. Is the you Ben Affleck type thing. It's like you're small black pass catching running back on the Chiefs. You're Jerick McKinnon, and he's really like he's going to play I think he's going to play receiver, which is fine. It's just we're drafting him as a running back, and someone like a Jarquez Hunter, he needs chaos to shake out in his way, but so does Brashard. And we all need chaos, and I think Jarquez Hunter could, right? If Kyron goes down, Jarquez Hunter could be the league winner of all league winners in the last round. Does he actually take it from Corum? I don't know. That's the problem. But I don't think Brashard, I just don't like, even if Pacheco goes down, like they have Kareem Hunt and Eli Mitchell on the roster. They could bring Carson Steele up. I think that he's like a weapon, and I don't think that there's any scenario in which he's just like getting all the work in a Chiefs backfield. But I think there's a scenario in which he's getting work that's really appealing and exciting for him in a vacuum. But I think Jarquez has just Jarquez's 99th percentile outcome versus Brashard's 99th percentile outcome. Give me Jarquez all day, every day. But Brashard might project to score more points this year. That's the weird thing. Yeah, totally. There ain't nothing as bad as politics. Truly the worst. The depth charts have started to come out, and we get the annual. So get ready for the week one. Oh, didn't draft this guy. It's over. You know, whoever has the big game, especially whoever has the big game on Thursday. You know, Saquon does it again. Like Saquon's going to have a big game tomorrow, right? And people will not be able to help themselves but to fire off. Damn, it's a fall for Ridley, and that makes a lot of sense here. But also, I don't have Zay on. If 16% Zay, I don't have Zay and Nico. I gotta stick to my guns here. Zay. Exactly. The takes, brother. Oh man. The takes are gonna be flying. Like I've done this, dude. Every time I make fun of something that happens in the industry, everyone needs to know that I'm coming from a place of I've done, it's like the old idiot who, got arrested when they were younger and did drugs or, made mistakes, right? They made mistakes. In the best ball space, I've made all of those mistakes. I've done the engagement farming. I've done the threads. I've done the rushing to Twitter I told you about Jaden Blue. LOL, those stupid Saquon faders lost again, right? When he scores in the first quarter tomorrow night. It's like we can't help ourselves all summer. It's right. Remember, week 17 is all that matters. Late season upside, blah, blah, blah. And then one fucking touchdown. Not even a touchdown, just like at least if Jaden Blue like gets a carry on the first drive, like people are just going to be out. See, Javonte and Miles are cooked. It's Jaden Blue season. And it's like, that's not true. It's like, it doesn't mean it's not, but it also doesn't mean week one. I can't believe I'm taking James Conner, but week one, if you recall, I don't know if anybody, if you're new to the whole best ball world, and of course you can get what I believe to be like a really positive version of all this in the Spike Week Discord, which of course comes with the Spike Week premium subscription. We have a handful of channels in there that are just for like support stuff, and you can get updates on the rankings and written content for free. You don't have to pay anything. But if you are a premium subscriber, you get access to, there's a bunch of channels that you don't see until you're a premium subscriber. And there is like, it's a ton of fun all year, but in season, it really is a ton of fun. And I find it to be a really positive general space. So if you want to come hang out and sweat with the other best ball sickos, you can join the Spike Week Discord. Again, it's free with your premium subscription. Or if you don't want to buy the tools and stuff, you just want to hang out in the Discord, it's only $5. You can go to the website, check out premium in the header, and get access to that. But last year, opening night, it's the first quarter of the first game of the entire season, and Mark Andrews isn't playing, and Isaiah Likely is. And it's over. Everybody pull up. Everybody whip out your Isaiah Likely exposures, and let's see who's biggest. Was last year tomorrow night. It's 365 days ago, essentially. We got the full. It's over. If you didn't draft Isaiah Likely, go ahead and pack them on up, move on to 2025 or move on to basketball season or whatever. Good luck staying poor, Mark Andrews drafters, right? And then, as it turns out, Isaiah Likely was fine, and Mark Andrews was fine. Not great, but he was fine. He was actually pretty good last year. Like fantasy was okay, but he was actually pretty good in real life perspective. And it's like, I was doing, speaking of like the making fun of stuff and being stupid on social media. Like I said, I do it and have done it. I was doing like the definitive list of league winners after every single week, where the response, oh my God, Didn't draft Isaiah Likely. And then, like, I don't remember. It's like, oh, didn't draft. I have to look it up. I wonder what. Let's see. Let's see some of them. Let's see if I can find. Dude, they just totally broke. They totally broke the search on Twitter. That site is such a fucking disaster. Oh, Baker. Here we go. After week 1 last year, here's the definitive list of league winners. Woof. This is gross here. This is gross. I see why we're drafting Tyler Warren now. Good God. Good God. How about a Michael Pittman share? Here was the definitive list of league winners in week 1 last year. Saquon. Okay. Jordan Mason. Damn it. J.K. Dobbins. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. League winner. Jaden Reed. Right? Jaden Reed had one of his 2 good games in week 1 last year. Xavier Worthy. League winner last year. Jameson Williams. Okay. Isaiah Likely. That was the definitive list of league winners. Someone requested that I add Baker Mayfield onto that list. Oh man, looking back through the takes is really, really, really funny. Let's do Tyrone Tracy. But so be ready for that. It's going to be fun. I am really excited. Week 1 is going to be. I'm more excited. I can't tell if I'm more excited just because I think this year is going to be more fun in real life football, or because maybe this summer has been a little bit better, or both, or I'm just misguided. Probably that one. But the summer definitely has gone better than a lot of recent summers. I think I finally shook a little bit of, damn near 40 years old and have been too galaxy brained for years in DFS, in everything. It's just kind of in my nature to think about some of the wilder stuff and then probably convince myself it's more probable than it actually is. And I think this year we found a better blend of not galaxy braining too hard and leaning into the things that are too improbable. Though everything is has some probability, leaning in too hard to some of the things that were too improbable and finding the right middle ground. It doesn't always work out right. I had big Trey Harris bags to start the year, and that was, I don't even really regret that, but it definitely didn't work. It's one of those things. It was absolutely possible that this Trey Harris outcome happened. And so long as you understood that, right? This is something Rob brought up last night that we talked about on the Final Takes show. So long as you understand the type of bet that you're making, if it goes against you, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad process. I understood what kind of wide range of outcomes player Trey Harris was, and I made that bet. And this summer hasn't gone well for that. Right. I was really heavy in Jarquez Hunter earlier. Speaking of the Jarquez Hunter season or question, I was really into Jarquez Hunter at the start of the summer. I've been able to back off because of some of the other guys that have popped up, but I don't regret. I don't regret the Jarquez Hunter bags. I'm trying to get more Mooney, but I already do have a lot of Mooney with this. So let's do Shaheed. But overall, I think if you hung around this channel overall over the course of this entire summer, I think there's some things like everyone that went against us, but that list is a lot smaller than the things that went with us. So I'm probably a little bit biased in that regard. That every year at cut down day and heading at this time of year, you're staring down the barrel at some serious holes in the portfolio. Guys that got cut, guys that are clearly just not going to play outside of like a absolutely miracle injury. Quarterbacks who aren't starting or whatever, just like taking on too much risk. And this year, I feel like it's been much, much, much better. Shout out Josh. Good morning. Says good off season. Thanks for what you guys do. Thanks to you guys for hanging out. I still kind of can't believe that like we get to do this. You know what I mean? It's like sit here and hang out, talk football in the mornings, draft fantasy football teams, put together DFS teams, talk about the bets that we're making, and then we sweat it all together every Sunday, and then we come back and do it again each week. It's just beautiful. I don't want Kyler with just Connor, so I guess we're just going to keep doing this damn thing. If anybody wanted Dylan Sampson, good luck. Exactly. Something's happening. I don't know what. I think this is the most likely unfortunate turn of events on Sunday. The portfolio is looking pretty good, like relative to what happens to some people, and then relative to what has been me and probably us in this point in time. Everything's looking to like Shuby and I even have a couple differences, right? We joke back and forth about like the Jade and Blue stuff, but like honestly, whatever you did in the Cowboys backfield, you feel good about. Whatever you did in all these different situations, you feel good about, even if you're not on the exact same page. And it feels way, way too good. So some total, whatever the Jay Glazer Saturday. So if you're not aware, Jay Glazer, I don't know, everybody like it's so bizarre because it would always be Jay Glazer, and it's like we normally get our reports from someone else, but for whatever reason, Jay Glazer is locked in with the big wigs around the league and he gets some of these truth bombs that come out on Saturday nights, like so and so is going to be inactive, so and so and so is actually going to play, so and so is going to be on a snap count, so and so is a game time decision. Like Jay Glazer gets all of those, and he posts the stuff at midnight on Saturday nights, so you wake up to it. Unless you're up late and you're a night owl, you wake up to this. Well, what the fuck? Where did this come from? And it's definitely going to be, like Jaguars will activate Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, and LaQuint Allen for their week 1 game. 4th round rookie, Bashal Tutin will be inactive. It's going to be something like that. I said this yesterday. I don't think this is the case, but if Bill is inactive, it will be hilarious. I have maybe not as quite as big of bags as other people do with Bill, but I certainly have my fair share of Bill teams. Hold on, holding. Let's go grab Goddard. This is a bizarre team. I think I kind of want to. I have done Stroud on so many Nico teams, and I don't really love Stroud. So as you can see, 4%, but I don't think I need him on all these goddamn Nico teams. Exactly. I love that line, by the way. It gets me every single time. Final drafts. Eric, this may be your last opportunity to apologize and make amends with Jacoby Myers. Brother, that ship has sailed. Me and Jacoby are oil and water. It's okay. Just like we were talking about before, not everybody's going to like my content, and I'm not going to like everybody's game. And I don't like Jacoby Myers' game. It's okay. I can respect him. We can have a mutual respect and not be best buddies. How many entrants into the Drafters Big Contest, and what is first place? So the how many entrants is still up in the air. The max that can be, damn man, I was kind of trying to avoid, although it's also a nice fall on Burden. Come on, I gotta take my boy here. 140,004 entrants would fill the contest on Drafters. Right now, it is at, let's call it 109,000. I believe someone said in the chat, in the Discord yesterday, that they did like 3,500 or something like that. So I'd probably just, let's just call it another 10. If they could get another 10, I think, I'm not sure that they're going to get another 10, to be clear. But I think that would be like a stretch goal of getting 10,000 more entries into this tournament. So I don't think they'll get over 120,000 into this tournament, which is pretty awesome for us. We do want as many of these tournaments to fill. They still got the $3 out here if you want to pile some entries into the $3, or the $10 Superflex is still open if you want to play some Superflex. But first place is $500,000. So it's a $20 entry fee. The total prize pool, which has to remain, you cannot change the prize pool once it's right. That's a legal thing. So 2.5 million is the total prize pool. $500,000 of that goes to first place, and all the payouts, like, right. So like whether it gets to 110,000 or 120,000 or 140,000, the payouts remain the same. They're not allowed to change. Well, I wish, Bernie, where were you before I clicked that button? Now I got to move him down. So first of all, Burden changed from number 87 to number 13. And that was like, we got to move him up the ranks because 13 is I wore 13 in college. So obviously Luther is one of my guys, hometown boy. And then he changed to literally my number and my favorite number. So it was a pretty significant upgrade in the rankings for Burden after the number change to 13. But now we got to move him back down. 10 is better than 87. So the progress, we're not going to move him all the way back down to where he was before. But 10 is not as good as 13. That is for sure. Is Dameon Pierce startable week 1? Very desperate at running back. I loved it. I don't know why that's I don't know why that's so funny to me. But very desperate at running back, obviously. I hope so. I know that you knew that, but it's very funny. Like, I'm obviously pretty desperate because I'm asking you about fucking Dameon Pierce. So just know that. Don't make fun of me. But if it helps, I'm in that position in some leagues too. Luckily, in most of them, I have a slightly better option. I am personally in a league. So in any league that I have him, here's how I'm thinking about it. If I have Samson or Jerome Ford, preferably Samson, but if I have Samson or Jerome Ford, I'm starting either of them over, Dameon Pierce. If I have Chris Rodriguez, assuming he's active, if Chris Rodriguez is active on Sunday, I will play Chris Rodriguez over him. I understand that's a little bit of a leap of faith as well, but so is fucking Dameon Pierce. I should have been paying attention to quarterback a little bit here. Do I do the two? Let's wait. Let's have a little fun. Speaking of Chris Rodriguez, let's have a little fun. Push the quarterback thing a little bit further. If I have the Browns guys, I start them. If I have Chris Rodriguez, right, I would wait out the Washington. If you have Bill, I would wait out the Washington thing to see how that looks. And then, of course, if you have like Tyrone Tracy or Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne or something like that, I would start those guys over him. But if you start to get into, right, you have like the backups, you drafted a 0 running back team, or you're just, like you said, light at running back, and you just have like Algier and Shipley and all that kind of stuff. I don't honestly think Shipley is that crazy, but I'm totally biased. I just think they're going to curb stomp the Cowboys tomorrow, and Shipley can get some extra run. But I think Dameon Pierce is better than a lot of the probably alternatives that you have in a desperate situation. I chose to chase the overlay on the smaller sprint and marathon and underdog, but kind of regret not maxing drafters this year after hearing those stats. It's completely understandable. It was the major overlay on the sprint and the marathon on underdog. I would absolutely not hold it against anyone for dumping their funds over there. The one thing that I always try to reiterate is on drafters, it's not just the overlay, which is of course very nice. If we're going to be 20, let's call it, we're going to be 20,000 teams short of filling, but those other tournaments have that, like you said. But this tournament has all of these freebies. You could have got, I don't know. I didn't go back and do the math. Maybe we'll do it after we get through this week one. You could have got 20, 25 free tickets out of 150. That's crazy. So it's going to overlay by 20,000 teams. So it's going to not fill by 20,000 teams. And then you could have got 10 to 15% of your entries for free. That's crazy. Do you still have a Drafters promo code for new? If you've not played on Drafters, use promo code SPIKE, SPIKE. And thank you, Bernie, for typing it out. Makes it easier on me. And if you have played on Drafters before and you want to reload with a bonus, use Spike Reload 20. That's a 20% deposit bonus. Well, we have officially ventured into, congrats, Dum Dum. You're taking I'm actually going to do Tajay on this team. I kind of have some, right? I have Connor, Tracy, Sampson, C-Rod. I kind of have some early season production. I kind of would like a little bit of Tajay. I need to get a little more Tajay at this price. I also need to get some fucking tight ends on this team. Yeah, there were so many different promos that sometimes you didn't remember how you even got the free tickets, and you just showed up in the on a Monday morning, and voila, there's 2 free tickets in your account, and you're just like, was this, so in August they did promo weekends where you could have gotten up to 7 free tickets on a couple of different weekends in August. They did a streak giveaway where if you did up to 30, if you did 30 days of drafts, you could get, I got to do fan in here. If you did, which I got to the 30 days in a row of doing a fast draft on Drafters, that got you 3 free tickets, plus I think a pick'em ticket or something. I can't even remember. And then just from the moment the contest launched, every 10, 25, 50, 100, 150, you get free tickets along that way too. So you're just never ending getting all these free tickets. It's crazy. Warehouse did 4 drafts with free tickets last night. It's crazy. Singletary over under 5.5 carries week 1. I have to take the under, but it doesn't make me feel very good. I have to take the under. If he got 6, I would not be surprised. Pretty good line. 4.5 or 5.5. It's probably what I would. What is the line? Do they have a line on his carries? Let's see. Where the hell? Oh, here we go. Props. Rush attempts. No, they do not. Tyrone Tracy, 13.5. Ooh, that's a little high, probably. Also, shout out Zeus. 4 entries into the $250 high roller on drafters, only 444 people. I would also be. I just wasn't able to get into that one this year. I was sitting in first in the high roller for like 8 to 10 weeks last year, and then my whole team, everybody got hurt. I lost everybody, and I tumbled all the way out of the cash. So if you're in first partway into the season, stay humble. I was counting my 25K in week 8, and I got 0. But also, you're not dead. You're not dead. Oh my God, Theo's on 50%. There's no line, just reducing my Tracy and Scat exposure because I think he gets work. I would agree. I do think Singletary is going to get out there, but I don't think it's going to be like significant. Oh God. GM, shout out to Mike. A great question. Who are 3 players you're most scared of burying you that you faded this draft season? So number 1, easy. I hate that you did 3 because I have 2 for this for sure. Number 1, and so I'm actually not scared of this, but maybe I should be. So my biggest fade that could easily bury me the most, number 1, DK Metcalf. I'm not buying. I understand he's wide receiver 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they don't have other targets and blah 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 blah. I don't think DK Metcalf is good enough to deserve his ADP. I don't think that offensive environment is good enough for fantasy points for us to care about him being the wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 1s are all made differently. So I know I've done the DK Metcalf thing before. I just can't see it. Aaron Rodgers is like a contested catch thrower. You know, he throws back shoulder fades and timing routes, and he just give your wide receiver a chance. And DK Metcalf is absolutely fucking horrible at that, despite looking like the goddamn Terminator. He is terrible at it. But if all that seems potentially logical, you know, it seems logical to me. It might seem logical to you. But if I'm wrong about that, 0 DK Metcalf could certainly. They paid Metcalf a lot. Yeah, I just don't care about contracts like at all. We use that. Like Brandon Cooks had been paid. Allen Robinson got paid. Kenny Golladay got paid. The money is irrelevant to me. Teams give out bad contracts all the time. So I stick to the football side of things. I get it. Are Rodgers and Metcalf working well together? There hasn't been that much reporting. There's been a couple of clips because it was a confirmation bias season, but about like the contested catch thing. Like I'm telling you, he's bad at despite playing with 2 awesome downfield accurate throwers in Russ and Geno. He's really bad at contested catches. I believe he over his career has caught like 30% or not career recent years. I'm going to misquote the stat, but his contested catch rate is horrible. DK Metcalf, and that there was some clips coming out of Rodgers throwing contested catch things to Metcalf and him never catching any of them in training camp. But, you know, he's talented. I've drafted DK Metcalf plenty in the past. I just don't like him this year. And then Derrick Henry. For sure. Derrick Henry. I just don't think he's deserving of that price. But if he like even outperforms, I just don't think you can take a guy who doesn't really catch passes, who can get game scripted out of games, who's 32 years old. Like, it's just not the bet I want to be making personally. God damn, I'm gonna have so much Diami. This is. Did Russ go? What the hell? The whole plan was Russ on this team. That's ridiculous. Can't even. This is how sharp these drafts. And I don't know that it's sharp that Russell Wilson went, but this is how bleak it gets at the end of the drafts now. I can't even bank on Russell Wilson being there. in round at the end of the draft. Let's just look at the quarterbacks who are available. Yeah, Dart is gone too. Where did Dart go? Yeah, Dart went at pick 200. It's absolutely insane. Like, I'm literally going to draft Spencer Rattler. The old Spencer Rattler, Rashid Shaheed. Just please, God, make it to week 9, Spencer. Make it to week 9. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. Shout out Kendrick. Shuby says Josh Jacobs is one for me. Can't imagine the summer going better for him. Yeah, dude, for real. And Milrow was the other one I thought about, but nothing quite says I got to take Spencer Rattler other than having Rashid Shaheed in the 11th round or whatever. People are truly deranged about quarterbacks, especially on DraftKings. Dude, seriously. It's nuts. 17th round Jackson Dart. Like, this is cumulative scoring. He's not going to play for how long? 17th round? Come on. The whole plan was okay, if Dart goes, I take Russ. If Russ goes, I take Dart. If they're both there, I was going to take Russ. Like, and they're both gone. And then Flacco goes also. Just ridiculous. Jalen Hurts and some other shit quarterback. James Conner, Tyrone Tracy, Dylan Sampson, Will Shipley, Chris Rodriguez, Tyjae Spears, and Kyle Monungai. Nico Collins, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Michael Pittman, Rashid Shaheed, Luther Burden, De'Ami Brown, Dallas Goedert, Harold Fannin, and Theo Johnson. Let's do one more, shall we? It's the last game of the year. Can't hold anything back now. We'll do one more. I'm trying to think of some other. Ryan has 2% Bijan, 2% Bijan, and Mahomes. And maxing BBM and Eliminator. So yeah, I'm with you on Bijan 100%. I have almost none. The occasional auto, and then what I will say is I cheated a little bit taking some of these guys in underdog super flex contests. I cheated a little bit and took a few of like the Bijan, Saquon, CMC types. I have taken CMC just a couple. So 2% CMC, 2% Saquon, 2% Bijan, which is all frankly higher than I would want it to be. Like 3% Genty, 1% Henry, 4% Chase Brown. As you see, taking pretty light stands, pretty light exposures to the early running backs. I do like Jonathan Taylor quite a bit. I've mixed a little bit more Bucky in lately, but obviously, yeah, 3% Jacobs. So I'm with you, Shuby. 1% Kyron would be another guy for sure. Let's look at some receivers real quick. Light T, I mean, I have 5%, so technically he can't like really bury me, but light T, light Garrett Wilson, light Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton, which is to be expected, light DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley, and there's the 0% Metcalf. Waddle, there's number 3, Jalen Waddle. I'm gonna put Jalen Waddle in there. That's my guy, but I'm with you on. I do not share the Mahomes sentiment, though. I've been pretty. I don't even know what I've got to on Mahomes. So I've got to 9% on Mahomes. What do I get to on Gibbs? 12% Gibbs. What's CD? 13. Let's do CD. I was in a crazy draft last night. Hurts went oh Jesus Lord. Hurts went 12, Allen went 15, Burrow 25, and Lamar fell to 38. What about Daniels? Daniels after that, I guess. Bree had a DK Millie last night with Josh Allen. This is one of to piggybacking on like the regret thing. I don't regret. It's just such a weird situation. I feel so much better this week. Like we talked about the portfolio thing. I think another reason why I feel much more positive heading into the season is last year at this time, I would be honestly probably not streaming because I would be like multi-tabling for like the final 36, doing what Rob did. And I'd just be drafting for the final 48 hours because I would save so many drafts. This year, it's bittersweet because the life EV aspect of not really having that many drafts left, right? This is number 134 of the Drafters main event. I'm done on Underdog. I'm done on DraftKings, except for I'm going to do probably one more 555 tonight. But I'm like, so 17 drafts or whatever. And like I said, like I can bang out these 134. I don't think I can bang out 134. These 16 drafts today, like pretty easily. So the life EV aspect of it, getting deeper into week one stuff earlier, feeling good. Not like I'm actually able to, I'm not like wanting to kill myself and like forcing walks to the dogs, forcing trips to the gym just to get away from my computer screen. Because yeah, you feel like last Thursday I streamed my last three actually, but my 150th DK Millie. But the day before I did 30 of them. And I did like 5 the morning of before. So I did like 40 in a day, basically, almost like 40 in a day on DraftKings last week. Cause I was like, I set the goal of that Thursday to do it. And I put the stream out there and I announced it. So I had to stick to it, but I kind of drug my feet. I work well with deadlines. I don't work well so much with like vague, like you can't give me a vague deadline. Give me a real deadline. So I set my own deadline for that and was like, you're doing your 150th that day. So you better get them done, brother. So I stayed up late, right? Whatever. And yeah, it's like, it wasn't like Rob of 36 hours. I wasn't that bad. I wasn't in that bad of shape, but I was in rough shape for a day or so of just like staring at your screen or your phone or, for hours and hours and hours on end. You also I feel like you make worse teams because you just get in straight robot mode. So the life EV side of things has been much, much better this year for sure. Let me move my dome out of the way. However, I feel the misery of like watching you guys and watching all the people be like, oh, look at this DraftKings room I'm in. They all took quarterbacks in the first round. I got CD neighbors on a team or whatever. And I'm like, son of a bitch, like I would love to have those teams and I don't, but can't have it all. I'm on JSN. Got a plan here. I got a plan. This is true. I can't stress enough how much time the 20-second clocks on Underdog have saved me this summer. I'm going to do CD, JSN, Mike Evans, another combination that I do not have. Oh, my phone thought CD was Siri. But like I said, I just have some combinations now in these final 16 teams or so that I'm trying to get some different starts at the beginning, get some different players at the end, tie a bow on it, and flip over the cards. Dude, it's so funny. Bree says he thinks Jonathan Taylor will be RB1 this year. It's so interesting that there's all the running back love. It's a slight exaggeration. But Jonathan Taylor is the one guy that I actually quite like the most. He's the one guy I'm overweight in that tier. I think that the whole plane is built out of Jonathan Taylor. I think that in terms of like workload, he's going to get as much workload, if not more workload than anybody in the league. Like him and Christian McCaffrey. Who gets more? Him, Christian McCaffrey. Like I could make a better case for Chase Brown losing work and Saquon losing work and Bijan losing work than Jonathan Taylor. Now, he's got Daniel Jones at quarterback. He hasn't historically been a big-time pass catcher, though I think he can do it, and I think they'll throw it to him, especially with Daniel Jones, not Anthony Richardson. That's a much better fit from him for PPR. So I've actually been doing the Jonathan Taylor thing. Doesn't hurt on the playoff format sites. The Jags Week 17 matchup is fun. Don't you want your running backs from winning teams? Are we betting the Colts will be good? I mean, yes and no. You're also a DJ Giddens hater. That is also true. That is a fact. Absolutely. In an ideal world, it would be great if your running backs run winning teams, but Christian McCaffrey was the 101 every year on a bad Panthers team. Devon Achane last year caught 1 million passes on a bad Dolphins team. There's, Chase Brown was on a bad Bengals team. If you consolidate a backfield and you're good and the offense is just good enough, I don't really know that it matters. And honestly, if you can catch passes, which I actually do think Jonathan Taylor can, he just hasn't necessarily historically, and you're losing, you can kind of make up for some of the fact that your team is losing games and you're not playing with a positive game script. If you still get the goal line touches and you can catch some passes in hurry up mode, then that's actually a really good thing. That was like Achane. That's been McCaffrey. So it's kind of like, it's nice to have the winning side of things, but it's also not mandatory. I love that you said 6 of those teams already drafted, making it sound like trash. 50% Baker, 50% Darnold, and 1 Dak. Oh, so maybe I can actually get it. I never draft Dak. Yeah, Saquon was pretty good. I actually liken Jonathan Taylor to Saquon in that regard. I'm not saying he's quite as good or whatever, but I don't know, man. He's pretty fucking good. JT is pretty damn good. You said 50% Baker and 50% Darnold. Okay, so we're going to skip Baker. We're also going to probably skip. What if we do this? Let's do that. CD, JSN, Mike Evans, Jameson Williams. Pull up RJ Harvey to that side of the board. Yeah, it's just one of those funny things. Like I definitely don't think it's a bad thing to be the running back on the winning team, but it's also like, I think what you want is to not be like a disastrous level offense. You don't want to be on the worst, right? Like you don't want to be on the Zach Wilson Jets. And even then, look at Breece Hall. Breece Hall was popping off on the Zach Wilson Jets. So even that's a bad example. Like the Giants last year wasn't great, but Tyron Tracy was pretty good. Not awesome. He didn't have like a great season. He only had a couple of good games, but it was like okay. Obviously not good enough for a second round pick, but still. And JT, ultimately for me, I also don't think the Colts are going to be so bad. That division, I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard for losing to be the reason that a running back in that division fails. Because there isn't a good team in that division. The Texans are fine. But Jags, Titans, Colts, Texans are clearly the best team, but they have their own issues for sure. The offensive line and a somewhat staggering lack of weapons on offense outside of Nico Collins. Oh, no. What is it? What is it? Bernie, don't ruin today for me. We're just talking about how great everything's going. What is it? No. You're lying. I don't believe you. He's not number 44. Who was 44? Dallas Clark? Is Harold Fannin the new Dallas Clark? Oh yeah, that's what he wore at Bowling Green. That's what he wore at Bowling Green. Yeah, the fucking ship chasers ruined Harold Fannin for all of us. Selfish assholes. There's just no chance. Yes, exactly. What tight ends? Oops. Tight ends to wear number 44. Dude, this StreamYard thing is going to absolutely slay me. Tight ends to wear 44. Dallas Clark. Is Tyler Warren wearing 44 too? Oh my God. These fucking rookie tight ends. Oh no, Tyler Warren can't wear 44 because of Dallas Clark. I want a list. Anyway. Derrick Henry was on some bad Titans teams. That's true. That is true. Pacheco's fine. Sorry, no. 50% Baker, 50% Darnold, 1 Dak. Let's do Warren on that team. If someone hurts Jonathan Taylor this year, the just selected Tyler Warren, I think, is one that could severely limit the Jonathan Taylor sling. I don't really think that they're going to come in and give wildcat and goal line carries to Tyler Warren when they have Jonathan Taylor on the team, but it's also not impossible, and that would not be ideal because the JT upside case is very much that he gets all that stuff. That's the bet. The expectation is he gets all of the goal line work. Shout out Greg. Still time to get JT. Is this year the worst the 101 has ever been? This is such a good point. All my teams from there feel worse than when drafting in the back half. Yeah, like it's because the tier breaks all lean to the right side of the board. That every time there's a tier break, it happens somewhere in the middle of the board, and so you get all the best parts of the tier on the right side and the worst parts of the tier, or you get a higher tier on the right side, and then the lesser tier always moves over to the left. And then you also get this damn problem with the left side of the board that you have to do stuff like I just did here with JSN and Mike Evans, because the overlap in ownership on the left-hand side is insane. All the highest owned like player combinations are all on the left side of the board. You can use our tournament DB to look that up on all of the drafters, different tournaments. You can see what that ownership looks like, and it's crazy, dude. Like all the highest owned players are all with like Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb, and then there's Bucky there and T. Higgins and Trey McBride. Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott being guys that are really popular with those. That's why I haven't been taking much Burrow with Chase, Burrow with T, Dak with CD, because that's what everybody does who drafts those teams. So this one, like Bernie mentioning, there's only one Dak team. That's one CD, JSN, Mike Evans, Dak team in the whole tournament. So this gives me a chance. I'm not saying I'm going to even get Dak, but it gives me a chance to maybe take some Dak, because let's see. Like I have 7%, which is probably too high, but as you see, let's see, 30% of my CD teams have Dak. So I went a little bit under what the field does. It's more like 50, if I recall. 50% of CD teams have Dak in the tournament. Tyler Warren was a fun ride. Tyler Warren was one of the great roller coasters, but it was the roller coaster where you just drop straight down. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a positive way, where like you said, it was like you just sit there for a while and the announcer talks to you about the health and safety protocols for this ride because it's about to be quick and it's about to be steep. And we all talked about like, you know, how many targets is he going to get? He's not as good of a prospect as Brock Bowers. And then, like you said, like who cares about that? And then all of a sudden, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's good. I think that guy's good. Let's move him up from pick 120 to 75 in like a month." Yeah, I've just been using him. I agree. It's been a weird Tyler Warren. I don't really know what to do with Tyler Warren. All right, does the 101 have Pickens? No. Should I double dip the Harvey Dobbins thing? How much time do I have left? Yeah, let's do the double Denver because he should not take Dak. Yeah, when it's so funny that what I will say is I don't think it was like Jones got named the starter. We're so bullish because Daniel Jones is the starter. I do think that was part of it, to your point, Shubes. But I think it was also watching in the preseason and everybody's like, oh shit. Yep. Big part of the offense. Looks good. And now that was preseason usage. We know how flawed that can be. But I think it was very quick to see, yep. And he had a good camp and they talked him up a lot and talked about his versatility and how much they're putting on his plate and how he's dominating, even though they keep expanding his role and right, all that different stuff with Tyler Warren. A lot of coach speak, a lot of fluff probably, but it was just a really never-ending positive summer for him. Although it's so fascinating that, like you said, Daniel Jones, the discourse around the Colts quarterbacks, but specifically Daniel Jones, is so mind-blowing because last year I drafted a good clip of I got overweight Daniel Jones. I was drafting a lot of Malik Neighbors, and the hope was Malik Neighbors would put Daniel Jones on his back. And unfortunately, no one can carry Daniel Jones on his back. He's like my 600-pound life or whatever. That's Malik Neighbors trying to carry around the fat South Park version of Daniel Jones. But he's so bad. I was like one of the ones to be like, every time there was a Giants game on, Daniel Jones would make a dumb play or, a bad pass or take a sack or throw a pick and oh my God, this guy's put Drew Lock in. And it was like, first of all, Drew Lock isn't even the backup. Tommy DeVito is. But everybody's, Daniel Jones is so bad. How can they keep playing him? And then it was like, well, Drew Lock is also really bad. And turns out Tommy DeVito is also really bad. But I had to be like, let's calm down. Yes, he's bad. He's bad. But like, these other guys are bad. Like, let's not get out over. And then he gets benched. And spoiler, Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito also bad. And then he moves to a new team. And now he's the fucking savior. It's like, please, God, let Daniel Jones start. All the Colts, it's wheels up for the Colts if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Like, since fucking when? Last year, everybody wanted him benched for Drew Lock from the word go. And now he's going to save Josh Downs and Tyler Warren and JT. Stuff like, I think JT, it just transcends all of it. I don't think it matters. And that's the hope for Tyler Warren, is that these guys can achieve enough no matter who's that quarterback. But I don't know where this Daniel Jones is like going to save an NFL offense came from, because we have not been watching the same Daniel Jones, if that's the take. Alex loves Dobbins this year. Me too. I have a nice big bag of J.K. Dobbins for sure. Yeah, he did get an internship with KOC. So maybe some of the Daniel Jones or some of the KOC goddamn wizard potion or whatever the hell he gives those guys out there in Minnesota to make him perform better. You hope that it held on for a little bit into this year with Indianapolis. It'll probably wear off. It's like you ever seen the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper? They take the little pill that makes you, it's like a drug, but it doesn't like make you high. It like makes you, it unlocks your brain, right? We only use X portion of your brain. This is what unlocks the rest of it or whatever. So you operate at a higher like mental state and physical state than everybody else does. That's KOC. KOC is like the limitless drug. He gives it to these losers like Bradley Cooper was in that movie. And all they do is turn into stars for a short stretch. They leave and go elsewhere and turn back into a pumpkin. And so he's the limitless drug. But you have to hope, for Daniel Jones' sake, he took it right before he left, so it holds on for just long enough. We need it to stay in his system for just long enough, because once it wears out, you turn back into a brain dead loser. Bree likes the 5 to 8, easier to get who you want and not get the QB snipes. That is completely fair. I need to look at quarterback though real quick. Should I backs? I don't want to do Darnold. Let's just do Ferg. Just double stack Dak here. You guys know I love me some Harold Fannin and such, but he just changed his number to 44, so maybe we can pass on Harold Fannin for once here. I mean, come on, Harold. I figured moving Jelani steamed him more than the QB choice. Honest to God, if someone reacted to the fact that Jelani Woods got cut, Jelani Woods could not have been more irrelevant. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying they drafted Tyler Warren in the top 15. Jelani Woods had no chance to take anything away from Tyler Warren. Jelani Woods isn't like Cole Kmet or Dawson Knox. Jelani Woods has never been a competent NFL tight end thus far in his career. Jelani Woods is why they drafted Tyler Warren, not the opposite. He's not taking away from Tyler Warren. See, I do not think you think more highly of Jelani Woods than I do. That is for sure. Can you talk through your process for tracking the various year-long best ball contests you're in? You check weekly or start tapping in later in the year? I can't. The people. So our good friend of the show, Rich Rebar from Sharp Football, and you've known him, Roto World and in many different places. One of the single, Hall of Famer, fantasy Hall of Famer, one of the single greatest to ever do it. He drafts best ball teams over the course of the summer, and then never checks on them until the end of the year. And what I've continued to call it and will continue to call it is true serial killer shit. To just be able to, right? It's like a serial killer can murder someone and then like go to the park and like hang out with friends or whatever. Right? Like a serial killer can. I just rewatched the the Aaron Hernandez, the Netflix one, not the FX or whatever bullshit that they did. The Netflix like documentary on Aaron Hernandez. I just recently rewatched that. Getting in football mode with murderous NFL players apparently. But like he went and killed somebody, and then he killed 2 people, and then went and played an NFL season. And then he killed another dude, and they just like show up back at the house, and that just like nothing happened. Granted, they were high as a kite, but still, I would imagine no matter what you're on, that would shake you up. And he was just like, right? It's just like he's just not the normal physical, not the normal mental state of a human being. And now, folks like Rich are not going around murdering people, but the ability to shut that off and not think about it while we spent hundreds of hours drafting these teams, maybe thousands of hours, probably thousands of hours drafting these teams. Not probably. I spent thousands of hours drafting these teams, and you're going to just like not think about it once like so-and-so scores a touchdown. You don't want to check your advance rates in week 4 just to see how it's going? Like, it's not over. You're not like panicking in the early part of the season, but isn't that the point? Is like, I spent all this time and it's invested all this energy. Like, I want to enjoy the roller coaster, right? So there's no way I could wait. There's just no way I could wait to the end of the season. I don't have it in me. I'll be checking tomorrow night. Like, the Eagles are going to score a bunch of points. Okay. So, and I have a bunch of Eagles and I don't have much Saquon. So I'll be checking the Saquon teams to see, like, well, do I have any good Saquon teams? And but also we have things like the Eliminator. We have things like that first quarter contest that are like legitimately that you're sweating them. Like, it's a real sweat. Like Best Ball Mania, week 1, whatever. It doesn't matter that much. But in like Eliminator, like that team can be gone in week 1. Your first quarter team's got to finish in the top 2 of 12 to move on to week 2. So you need to score a bunch of points in week 1. So I'll definitely be sweating those for sure. Trying to figure out okay, Stroud goes. I love Michael Penix, but you can't backstack him. So I'm going to take Cam Ward. Oh, fuck me. Double week 10 bye. Of course. It's not that big of a deal, but it's annoying. We'll be okay. We'll win the tournament. Yeah, exactly. John Mechie, 2 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown. Post those suckers on Twitter or in Discord. This is the hope, man. The real Bill. Wild Bill Shipley. That's what we're hoping. Absolutely not, you son of a bitch. How worried are you about Jaden Reed? I got tons of bags of him smelling like another Ayuk season. I'm exceptionally worried about you. On the scale, I will say, we joke about aren't you worried? But on the scale of aren't you worried, a wide receiver with a Jones fracture is definitely near the high end of aren't you worried? I've got pretty hefty bags of Jaden Reed, and I'm just leaving. I'm only got, like I said, I've only got like 15 to 20 more drafts to do, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm just letting other guys take him because I already got plenty of Jaden Reed teams. I bought the Jaden Reed dip before when he first was missing time with the injury, so it's not like I didn't buy the discount already. I'm just I know he's even more discounted now, but I just have other guys I would like to get into my portfolio. I don't want. This is how I tend to think about it, is like, we get those dips on those kind of guys and it can be appealing, right? You can clearly see, like, if he's fine, this price is amazing. It's a great buy. But also I did not come into this, nor do I want to leave this with Jaden Reed as like one of the single greatest pillars of my fantasy season. I don't like him that much. He's fine. He's good. I think he's been a great pick. But I don't want my entire season dependent upon Jaden Reed. That's just me personally. Maybe you do or others do, and that's completely fine. Right? I have different, right? You don't want your season dependent upon Will fucking Shipley and Dylan Sampson. So we all have different little quirks in that regard. But like, if you feel that way, I just like, look, somebody else is going to get the dip. I already have my bags packed. There's no reason to go get more bags and pack them up too. If that wasn't your intent. Right? You have enough clothes. You're going on vacation. You got enough clothes and shoes. You don't need to go get more just because some of them are on sale. There's a sale somewhere. So that's just like kind of how I'm thinking about it. Triple tap, Russ, Dart, and Winston. Yeah, I think it's been a rough run out for Bijan. Not in like him losing work way or anything, but them not upgrading the offense and running it back with London, Mooney, Pitts, McLeod, Hodge, etc. I just don't, even if Michael Penix, right? So what they did was, instead of upgrading the weapons, they just said Michael Penix is going to be the thing that takes us to the next level. We're going to finally have high level quarterback play. And that's definitely possible. But then they lost Caleb McGarry. Penix is left-handed. He's their right tackle. So the equivalent of losing your left tackle. Now he's not as good as, someone like a Rashawn Slater, but he's like as important. It's down. It's a huge downgrade for the team. So it's a pretty big deal. God damn, Io Manor went at 155. Who is that? Jay Hawker. Oh yeah, Jay Hawker's around these parts. One of the sickos. So maybe I shouldn't have done. God damn it. I just think I have to take. You guys are going to take all the receivers if I don't. It's absolutely insane what happens to receiver now. And these, if I don't take these guys in the 12th to 15th round, they're gone. And I know I started with 4 wide receivers, but I do still need more. This didn't go quite as we hoped, but it's a fun start. We got the fun start. We got the Dak stack. Ward will be fine, unstacked. Can always take Chimeri DK in the final round if I want to. But yeah, I'm turning notifications. I always keep the only notifications I get in my phone are text messages, but which reminds me I need to double check on this DK draft. Oh my God, perfect timing. I'm on deck. 3 minutes to go. Look at that. Sometimes better to be lucky than good. But I may have to. I don't know what I'll do if Will Shipley scores tomorrow night. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I know that either way. I was kind of thinking we were all hitting Samson pretty hard. I 100% faded Judy. If the run game is firing, could he crush too? Possible. But I think of Jerry Judy as similar to the DK Metcalf thing, where he's propped up based on projected volume. And if the run game is firing and the Browns are maybe a little bit better than expectation, and they're also not throwing, they led the league in pass attempts last year by a sizable margin. And so when everyone quotes the things like the Cedric Tillman run, Jerry Judy's fantasy points from last season, whatever, we have to take it into the context of, even if they're bad, they're just not going to lead the league in passing, certainly to that regard. And in that stretch, they were throwing 50 times a game because Jameis was throwing pick sixes all the time. Jameis is not there. It's rookie quarterbacks behind Joe Flacco. It's just a different situation. And so the price is okay for Jerry Judy, but I just don't see the Jerry Judy wins us all the money even at that price. And I have not been drafting him, and I don't feel that bad about that, though I think he can be useful. I certainly, but it's a tough division outside of right. You have the Bengals in one game, but then you get the Ravens and the Steelers and the other games in that division. Gretch has been adamant about drafting Judy, which has me spooked about that fade. I don't really get it, but I haven't listened to Gretch pound the table for him, and I respect Gretch's process and takes. Is Estime signing with Philly bad? No, because he signed on the practice squad. So, someone would have to get hurt for him to even be active on game days, and he's clearly going to be very far behind. I mean, Audric Estime was someone I think we all kind of were excited for last year, drafted plenty of, because we didn't like Javonte and we didn't like the whole situation and thought he could come in and take the job. And not only did he not take the job, he got cut the following year. So this is the thing. The wide receiver one for a pass heavy team, but he's the type that goes to zero after a trade. And like what again, like wide receiver one and pass heavy are like influx types of things. When you're not that good, we call you wide receiver one because you're better than Cedric Tillman, but that's a different situation than, you know, Jamar Chase being wide receiver one. We label them all kind of the same, but they're wildly different players. See, this is just insane. That's 6 running backs. Okay, we're good at tight end. I'm not going to force the quarterback thing, but okay. Let's buy the QJ dip a little bit here. But no, I totally get that, right? I get the thesis with all of those, but the projectable volume guys are always super duper risky. Judy, Metcalf, remember Brandon Cooks, remember Allen Robinson, remember they're all because they're not talent bets. No one when you're always not always when the bet is a spreadsheet bet, it's essentially what it is, right? It's like when I put together my spreadsheet and I give the Browns 500 something pass attempts, and then I sort by talent at the wide receiver position, he like just slightly edges out other talents I don't care about. But those end up being like, that's when David Njoku, in my opinion, is better than Jerry Jeudy. And that's when Harold Fanning comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh, he's taken more work than you think. Because when you put it into your spreadsheet or whatever, it's like the projectable, that's just what the projectable volume guys are. The DK Metcalfs, the Jacoby Myers, the Cortland Suttons. When we're doing it on from a like, this guy's really not that good, but I got to give the targets to someone. Those are just the flimsiest bets. And I feel like it's really, really hard for those bets to beat you, because you can end up getting projectable volume elsewhere. You may not see it coming, but you'll end up getting, right? No one saw the Browns thing coming last year. Cedric Tillman was getting projectable volume by the end of the season, but you could have got him in the 20th. You know, so we're paying for this. Like, I feel pretty good about the projectable volume, and it's just like the league winners just never come from that cohort, or almost never come from that cohort. Nothing is never or always. I'm loving this team, Shuby says. Out of the, what is that, 107? JJ, Trey McBride, Lamar. Who doesn't love a gold? Marv at 42, Abuka at 55, Connor, little chaperone. Jawan at 79 is nice. I've been buying the Jawan dip. Sharbs, yep. Kyler Marv, Bateman, Jaden Blue, Ramondre. Connor? You see, I do like blue on this team. Connor, Sharbs, also Jaden Blue, Ramondre Algier, Horton, Shipley. Hot damn. Yeah, this team is fun. You have, McBride. Oh, yeah. That's a good team. That's a good team. But isn't it just disgusting what we have to pay for some of these guys now? Like, at least Shipley has mostly stayed in the same spot. But like that's why it's good to buy like that Jawan dip, like, excuse me, like you did. But like, we got to go get Abuka now. We got to go get Connor now. We got to go get Sharbs now. We got to go get Horton now. Got to go get Manungai now. God damn. Okay. Maybe we. Let's Let's do Sean Tucker. And Jarquez. So Dak and Cam Ward got one more pick to make at wide receiver. Dak and Cam Ward, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, J.K. Dobbins. Of course, I actually really don't mind the double Denver thing. Dylan Sampson, Trey Benson, Taj Brooks, Sean Tucker, Jarquez Hunter. When I take 4 wide receivers to start, I like to keep it to 8 wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Mike Evans, Jameson Williams. More Denver stuff. Lots of Broncos. I have lots of Broncos exposure. Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Quentin Johnston. So we'll make one more pick here on the final. This is it. We did it. Tomorrow kicks off the season. No more best ball draft streams for 2025. But tomorrow, as I mentioned, first of all, as we head into round 20, if you guys could, before you leave, hit that thumbs up button. Super, super helpful. And tomorrow we'll be diving all the way in to a week 1 preview. The plan is we're going to kind of go game by game and talk all of the different formats from within each game. DFS, some of our favorite bets and props and pick 'em, and underdog drafts. And we'll probably do a draft or 2 at the end, but we'll kind of see. This will be the first one of these. We're going to kind of try to play it by ear, but I kind of want to have one like full blown, let's talk about the week and all the stuff we want to bet on, right? It's like how, like, instead of breaking it down day by day and doing underdog drafts on this day and our sports betting on this day and whatever, we're just going to kind of like do a full breakdown. And then that way, as we kind of go game by game or position by position or whatever, and people can come in and be like, well, what do you think about this running back? What do you think about this start sit decision? What do you think about this guy as a DFS play? You can ask it all in one place. And then you don't have to listen to me talk for any more hours than you already have, which I very much appreciate, you guys, but it kind of all is in that one space. And then we're going to do some members only stuff for like the final, if you really want to come get the DFS plays and the official, betting picks and all that kind of stuff. And of course, the underdog rankings. If you want to draft some battle royale teams, somebody asked about the dog bowl earlier. Those are up on the site already. Those are going to come out on Tuesdays. I'm going to try to get those out on every Tuesday, the battle royale ranks. And then we'll have, as I mentioned, we're calling it the blueprint this year for in-season stuff. So you can get kind of you can see what we're betting on, some of our main betting picks, and again, pick 'em and props are included in that, and then like DFS plays and all that stuff. Cheers, J. Mike. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the insightful and thoughtful questions. Those are good. Cheers, Greg. We miss you as well. Sam says the 104 leaning into CMC and JT's. Yeah. Oh man, CMC, JT, Josh Allen, James Cook. Let's see if he. Yeah. See, I just wouldn't take Caleb, and I wouldn't take Mostert, but I kind of enjoy those types of teams. Nothing quite says final best ball draft stream like drafting Chimere DK to close out a Cam Ward Titan stack. Let's run it down and get out of here with our final draft. Not sure this is the draft I would pick to be my last one, but pretty indicative of a Spike Week sicko draft. Dak Prescott and Cam Ward at quarterback, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, J.K. Dobbins, Dylan Sampson, Trey Benson, Taj Brooks, Sean Tucker, and Jarquez Hunter. CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Mike Evans, J-Mo, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, QJ, and got to complete that stack, right? What a donkey. Drafting Chimere DK to go with Cam Ward, and then Tyler Warren and Jake Ferguson, obviously, also paired with Dak. Kai says, I've been following the green numbers in Hacker the last few days. Get all the folks I usually fade. Yeah, I have him as red on my screen as the guys I'm fading. The red, don't take this guy. You don't like him. Or green, you target that guy a lot. But thank you guys. Just seriously awesome summer. Could not have had more fun. And it really is all because of the folks that hang out. I know we are maybe small in numbers, but we are mighty in power. And I'm super, super pumped for this summer. I am super pumped for the summer, but I'm also super pumped for this season. I think we've had a really awesome summer and good process summer, really, overall in our best ball drafts. But we'll be back tomorrow morning to get into week one. It's week one time. We're going to dive in. We'll be doing some drafts in season, and we'll still be covering best ball in season. Monday night, best ball basements around. We're going to dive into whatever the second quarter contest when that comes out, eliminators and all sorts of in-season stuff. We're not going anywhere, but of course, games start tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow with some week one talk. Enjoy your Wednesday. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.